Welcome to our Week 5 mini lecture. This covers chapters 11 and 13 from the Cornerstones book, the book we've been using all throughout the class so far. And this chapter really just kind of deals with what's the relationship between activity and cost. So we have to understand activities in an organization, how are things done, would be kind of the big picture thing to think through. So at the top here they talk about what is the activity. So think of a manufacturer. What's the process we go through to manufacture something? Same thing applies for a service company. How do we allocate resources to provide services to our customers? And then we have what we call structural cost drivers. Now, there are many types of those. The chapter really focuses on just-in-time, the JIT that you see right here. And that's obviously a very common one. And the goal with just-in-time is that companies don't have to have large quantities of inventory on hand, of raw material inventory, that they can work closely with suppliers to have raw materials delivered just in time to be manufactured and processed and turned into the final good. And obviously using technology makes that very possible in today's information age. But we have to decide on what that is. There's all kinds of options in the chapter, definitely talks about those. And then the operational activity. How are things done? How do we move materials from one part of a factory to another? How do we choose what kind of machinery to use? Will we use machinery that's very automated, or will we go kind of more with a labor-intensive style? There's all kinds of options available. And then the number of the operational drivers is the number of times something happens. So the example they're giving us here is just moves of material. So an operational driver is how often do we have to move something, but there's all kinds of examples of what those drivers are. And then the value chain of a company. And the key about understanding a value chain is understanding how costs are incurred and how costs behave at the various pieces of the value chain. So this is the entire value chain to kind of just see how everything is intertwined. And we'll start at the top with design. So a company designs a product, right? And there's lots of information goes into designing a product. You're doing research and development, you're doing market research, you're trying to figure out, what features do customers want, what's the market for this product, what's the pricing, things like that. There's all kinds of things that go into design. And obviously costs are going to behave a certain way there, but remember that those are costs with no revenues as we develop and design a product. And so we design it, we develop it, we produce it. So once the product is produced, we obviously need to market the product. We have to tell our customers, hey, we've got this shiny new thing that we are really excited about that we would like to sell you. And so you have to generate that market interest. And obviously, if it's something brand new, you have to educate your market. What is this thing? If it's something that you're competing against other companies in your industry, we have to try to get customers to switch over to us. So your marketing will kind of depend on what it is that we're selling. And then once we market the product, we have to distribute it. It depends on what kind of product that is, right? Can somebody buy it through a store? Do they buy it on a website? Mail order? Is it a service? Is it a good? What is it? And so, but whatever that good is, once we sell it, we have to service it. Obviously not all things need servicing depending on what the good is, but quite often there's a warranty or anything like that. We'll have to make sure we're providing good service. Without service, that definitely affects the willingness of customers to buy our good again. It affects what customers will say about our product to their family, friends, and so on. But it's all intertwined. And costs are happening different ways throughout this. Just kind of keep that in mind. That's the key with chapters 11 and 13, is just kind of understanding how costs behave at the various levels of the value chain. And then this is a very common graph. If you've taken a marketing class or have any kind of a marketing background, you've seen something like this, or even something that involves operations or production. When you first introduce a product, you're just trying to get traction, right? You're looking for the early adopters who are willing to take a chance on your product, willing to try it out, knowing that you've never really done this before, it's new, but I'll try it. And after a while, hopefully, it begins to gain more and more attraction that people want this product, and we get to that point where now it grows, right? So you hit that growth stage, and then you hit product maturity. And at product maturity, that's why somebody will tweak a product. I always kind of think of breakfast cereals. I can remember when I was a kid, Trix were just round balls, and then at some point in time they became fruit shapes, and then they had marshmallows, and they had various flavors, and I couldn't tell you how many flavors of Cheerios there are now, but it seems like it's an endless cycle of change. But what companies are trying to do is they're trying to keep that maturity level and keep that lasting as long as they possibly can before the decline stage hits. Now, obviously, if we're looking at technology, this is going to happen really fast. If we're looking at breakfast cereals, this could be decades long, right? So it just depends on what the product is for the time frame. But everybody's seen something like this. But the key is that how do we look at cost and manage cost at the various stages of the growth cycle? And then if you've heard of target costing is kind of putting the method of pricing a product in reverse a little bit. So basically what you're doing is, before you really bring a product to market, maybe you have an idea of something you want to produce, you do some market research and you ask your customers, what would you pay for this? What's the price you're willing to pay? Now, if it's something that is already in the marketplace and people are buying, obviously we look at what's the price people pay for this good right now. And the goal is to make the product at an amount below that. But target pricing just means we focus first on the price, and then we figure out, can we make the product at an amount less than that price that still gives us the profit that we want. So with that target price, will the customers have the functionality, features, choices, design that they want? And also keep in mind, we're trying to either maintain or gain market share with that. So it's very much a marketing focused approach. So asking our customers, what would you pay for this product with these features, da 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 da. And then from there, we have to figure out, well, can we make it at an amount below the price that will give us a target profit? So let's just say our goal is to have a 20% markup. We have to figure out if the price is $100, can we make it for $80, right? So there's a $20 profit that we need to be a successful company. So once we have the cost figured out, we have to figure out, can we produce and design and make this product under that cost? If the answer is no, well, we move on. We try something else. If the answer is yes, we go and make it. Okay, so that's target costing. And then this talks about just-in-time, again, kind of just a method for manufacturing something. We've got the traditional plant layout at the top here. Just think of the assembly line, and basically you've got a department of lathes, a department of grinders, welding, and the folks in those departments, that's all they do every day. They do the same thing. They kind of only see their little piece of the pie. I do my lathing, and I don't really know what else happens once the product moves beyond my department. That works. That's one way to do it. But what companies are figuring out, and keep in mind that the labor force, unemployment's at a record low. You have to train people. You have to keep them. You want them motivated. You want them to be excited about their jobs and not have a monotonous job that they don't like, because they'll leave you, right? I think everybody knows that. And so what's changing is, with just-in-time in manufacturing, companies are now doing what they call cells. And each cell is a complete standalone unit. And every employee in that cell is cross-trained. So every employee in a cell can do any of the three different, in this example, there's 3 different things that we have to do to make our product. But every employee here could do any one of these. And they kind of almost even self-supervise themselves too. They're responsible to each other for getting things done. They'll have team goals and so on. But the goal is to have more motivation, less monotony, more efficiency, cross-training, things like that. So our employees are more valuable. They have got more knowledge in their brains. They're more motivated. Quality increases, things like that. So that's kind of the new future. And of course, cost accounting has to match that also. And then the chapter in chapter 13 talks a lot about strategy. And the key with strategy is, what's the company's vision? So always be thinking about what's the vision and mission of a company. Vision is very forward focused. Mission is what we're doing now. Vision is future focused. So always know what your vision and mission is, because they should drive some key things to measure. So whatever our vision, mission, strategies are, we should be able to measure our performance and our accomplishment of achieving vision and strategic goals in 4 quadrants: financial, customer, process, and infrastructure. And we need to find goals that we can measure. There's no doubt about what they are. There's things that we can quantify without too much difficulty. And so that's what this is about. And then, of course, with all of these, there has to be objectives, measurements, targets, initiatives, and so on. Because kind of think, if we've got goals, we have to be able to measure them. We should set targets for ourselves. We should try to meet certain goals. We should give ourselves stretch targets, things like that. And if we're not, then maybe we have to launch an initiative to increase efficiency or reduce waste, whatever that would be. So good companies can do this and quantify and measure objectively their strategy, their vision, and their mission. And so this is what I call a strategy map. And the 4 quadrants that we can try to measure is called the balanced scorecard. And that's what Chapter 13 deals with: our financial, customer, internal, and learning and growth. And if they all go well, they all support each other. For example, if we invest in our employees, we make them better, we train them better, we maybe pay for them to get better education, we do leadership training, whatever that would be. If we have a more highly skilled, high-trained, efficient, and motivated employee base, well, guess what? That should lead to them discovering how to improve efficiency, right? How to improve the time it takes to make a product or deliver a service. Well, guess what happens then? Well, our customers are happier because we are improving the quality of our products. They're more likely to come back and do business with us again. So they stay with us. That increases our market share. What happens if we increase our market share? We sell more, right? And then also with the improvement of efficiencies, well, that decreases our costs, right? So kind of a combination of, if I can decrease cost, increase revenues, obviously my profits go up and shareholder value goes up. So it really starts at the bottom, believe it or not. So even though we kind of look at these things from the top down, this one to me really starts at the bottom with companies that are really good about investing in their employees. They should expect internal processes to get better, customers to be happier, and their financial statements to look better. Okay, so anyway, that's Unit 5, and that's chapters 11 and 13.